Hello, everybody, this is Purge bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. This is a Viper game that I played yesterday. I haven't made a video in a while, sorry about that, but I've been very busy with the qualifiers. First, we played in the open qualifiers. That was 4 days in a row. We played the first 2 days, and then the first 2 days, the second day we lost, and the third day we started the second qualifier, and the second day we got eliminated at top 4. So very busy those days, and immediately afterwards, the regional qualifiers started. The regional qualifiers being the teams that actually qualified, and then they played all their matches, and I casted a bunch and did a lot of Moonduck TV couch stream stuff. So that was why I was busy. But Viper, it turns out I haven't made a Viper video in forever, and that's a little bit of a shame because I actually like the hero a lot. The hero is pretty hated by a lot of players, and I can understand why. He's very survivable, mostly due to his corrosive skin passive. It reduces the amount of magic damage you take, and it then slows attack speed and movement speed and gives damage to his opponents if they damage him. So Viper's strength is basically in taking a bunch of damage but surviving, and then your opponent's being overcommitted to a fight. And corrosive skin is really the main thing that does this. You've also got a poison attack, which adds an orb to your attack. That slows by 40% movement and attack speed slow, and it does up to 28 damage per second, lasts for 2 seconds. And then you've also got Nether Toxin, which means that you do more physical damage when people are low on HP. So the lower they are, the more physical you do. So the goal is basically to lower them with the poison damage, the magic damage of poison attack, corrosive skin, and your ultimate Viper Strike, which I'll talk about that in a second. And then finish them off with Nether Toxin by hitting them for an up to max of 160 bonus damage when they're low. So the way Viper Strike works is you cast out a projectile, it hits your target, slows their movement speed and attack speed by 40% to 80%, and it does 5 instances of damage, which means at level 1 of Viper Strike it does 300 magic damage, which is not amazing, but it's still 1 skill point for that damage, and the slow alone is quite good. At level 16 of the 3rd level, it does 145 over 5 seconds, and that is a total of... It's like 750 magic damage. It's actually quite good. 80% slow, and the slow goes through BKB. The damage does not. So if you grab an Aghanim Scepter, it lowers the cooldown to 12 seconds at all levels, which is pretty good, making Aghanim Scepter definitely a Viper item that you can choose. But usually you want to focus more on team fights and on carry potential a little bit more than you do on Aghs. There are some games where I will buy Aghs. If I'm really behind, I will buy Aghs, but usually you buy other items. So this skill build is semi-wrong. It's okay, but I think I very rarely will max out poison attack anymore. And there's very few players that will actually max it out first. Your other skills are usually better. A lot of players in the pro scene will max corrosive first, and they'll buy a mechanism on Viper, because the two things stack. If you have a way to reduce damage taken to you, and you have a way to heal back afterwards, and you're getting extra value out of those heals, your heals are worth more if you're taking less magic damage, for example. So that's part of the reason. You're normally played in the mid lane, although you're sometimes played in the safe lane, and you can also work in a dual offlane scenario, but I would never do a solo offlane Viper. That is just not a good way to go. You need a little bit of farm on the hero for him to be good, and if you get behind on Viper, you're in a bad spot. So you have to try to stay at least even to your opponents. If you can't, then you're in a bad place. Alright, common items. Power treads, very good. You can buy something like phase boots, but I'm not a huge fan of them just due to the fact that you just need more HP. And also, if you're buying mech, you need treads, because being able to tread switch to int is really important. Your int gain is really bad, as is your strength gain, I guess, but you can build around the strength aspect. But you need treads usually to be able to switch to int before you cast mech, not only because it'll heal you more, but also because you need more mana. Another common items, don't get Shadow Blade. Ring of Akala is good in the laning stage. Mechanism is very, very good. If you don't buy Mechanism, you should buy Sange and Yasha. You need to get either of these 2 items at pretty much every Viper game you guys play if you want to play at efficiency levels. And again, the reason is because you just need survivability. Mechanism will give you 5 to all stats, and it'll give you a 250 HP heal, and it heals your allies, and you can farm it relatively fast, and it allows you more time to do damage with your skills. That's why mech is okay on Viper, despite him being like a mid semi-carry. It's because you get damage out of your skills. Poison attack gives you damage, Nether Toxin gives you damage, corrosive skin gives you damage, and Viper Strike gives you damage. These all do damage just by you being alive. That's it. You don't need damage items because you've got Nether Toxin and poison attack and corrosive skin. You're going to do damage to people just by staying alive, so survivability is really important. That's why you get SNY as well. It's a slightly different item than mech. It doesn't give you nearly as much HP, but it does give you 2 armor. It gives you 16% movement speed, so you can run away if you're chased, or you can chase people down if they're in trouble. And you can also transition better into DPS. If you're trying to go a full DPS build on Viper, you start off with Sange and Yasha, and then you transition into damage items as needed. But if you're looking more at the team fight, push with your team build, then going a mechanism into standard items works really well. You can also buy both items. You can go mech into Sange and Yasha. That works as well. Not always recommended, but it's pretty good. Gives you the burst heal, but also transitions you into a carry a bit faster. But a lot of times what you're going to have to do is after you build your first item, either a Sange or a mech, you're going to have to buy a Black King bar afterwards, because sometimes they just have too many stuns and you need to be able to at least be attacking during fights. So BKB is on Viper is a very scary time. It's very difficult to deal with that in a lot of ways when you are playing against a Viper, because he just runs in the middle, he pops BKB, and he just does a lot of damage and slows people on, kind of forces them to escape in a lot of cases. Manta style I don't recommend very much. The illusions that you spawn do reflect corrosive skin damage here, but the active doesn't stack. It's not like you can get corrosive skin procced from your hero and from your illusion, so it only reapplies the buff. The Manta illusions are just not that strong basically. And Viper usually doesn't build that many agility items. Like, yeah, if you go Sange and Yasha into like Butterfly, into Skadi, and then you go back for a Manta, then yeah, maybe your illusions are good, but I really don't like Manta style. I think the only time that this should be purchased is if you really don't need BKB and you'd rather get a Manta, which is I agree with. If you really don't need BKB, get a Manta, but you need a way to remove silence, was my point. If you need to remove silence, or need to remove like a lone druid root or something like that, then Manta style may be the item for you. Manta is usually purchased on Viper versus Slardar, because Slardar does counter Viper in that Viper dies to too much physical damage. That's pretty much Viper's only weakness, is too much single target physical. So Manta can remove that by removing amplified damage. But usually you just don't get Manta style. I really recommend getting Sange and Yasha. Even though this percentage win rate is higher, SNY gives you way more control as a single hero, in my opinion. Silver Edge is picked up as well, but I'm not a fan of the Silver or the Shadow Blade build at all. As you can see, Shadow Blade is a 49% win rate, and Silver Edge is like 61%. But that's just because the only people that buy these are really rich Vipers, would be my guess. So here's you have advantage against Alchemist, Zeus, Templar Assassin. These all make sense because in lane, Zeus and Templar Assassin may be attacking you, and you can reflect damage with Corrosive Skin, which does damage over time, which breaks her refraction, which means TA is much less survivable, so TA is a bit weak against Viper in lane. Alchemist, I'm not quite sure about. I guess you can keep him in one place due to having so many slows, so because of that, you can just burst him down. That's probably why Alchemist, you have an advantage against Alchemist. Also, if he's low, you do bonus physical damage, so you actually have a bit of a counter to his massive regen. You get him in one place, you counteract his regen by doing all this poison damage, and then as he gets lower and lower, you do more and more physical damage. You can eventually kill him. These other heroes, not quite sure, but mostly they're heroes that are a bit lacking on single target damage, basically. Viper can deal with these guys. Doesn't worry about Silencer that much. He pops BKB and just kind of kills Silencer. Now here's are really bad against. Your AoE is really poor. You can't deal with Meepo well. You can't deal with PL well, Broodmother. A lot of these heroes are hard to deal with, but these percentages are not that big, to the point where Viper, you could arguably say, is pretty much good against everything, with the exception of maybe these three top heroes. They're a little scary and hard to deal with. You're gonna, against a Phantom Lancer or a Meepo, you just might be forced to buy Mjolnir. It's not something you want to do on Viper, but it may give you an advantage. If we look at the hero meta statistics, we can see that Viper has a 50.29% win rate at the 5k mark, so he's a fairly balanced hero. He's picked semi-often in the pro scene. It is not every game, but Viper's always kind of just been the hero that you pick if you are laning against somebody that's really hard to lane against. So Viper is very good for that. And then my overall win rate is 63.41%. I play a decent amount of Viper games. I actually like the hero a lot, personally. I think he's very fun. And you get to play very aggressive and do stupid things and usually make it out the other end. So that's why I like him. Let's hop into the game then. So this is a game that I played last night immediately after the qualifiers ended. I was playing with Biryu, who used to be on DC. I believe he's their coach right now, and Dark Falco. Dark Falco decided to go for a jungling Luna build, which you'll see is actually not bad. Luna's Aghs is actually looking pretty OP. I tried it out in the previous patch as a substitution to BKB because they're semi-comparable items in that they give you survivability. And I'm kind of to the point where I think that Luna Aghs is actually definitely worth getting. It's very comparable in price to BKB. BKB costs 3,975 and Aghs costs 4,100. So very similar costs. Except the Luna Aghs gives you a massive damage and tactical advantage, especially with them shooting out faster. You can actually kill people before they pop their BKBs or their survivability items now, because you can basically quad beam somebody in a very short period of time, and that's going to kill a lot of supports and heroes. So I don't know, man. Luna's looking okay with Aghs. It may push Luna into a place where she can actually offensively get kills instead of having to play passive the whole time. So I'm playing mid, and I did random. I got a Wraithband, a Tango, and a Fairy Fire. Now, I've been seeing a lot of Fairy Fires get purchased during the qualifier, and I'm starting to really see the value. The item is really bad for what it stands for. Like, 2 damage for 75 gold is really poor, obviously. But the ability to heal for 75 HP, that's really good in the early game. That's about 2 right clicks in most cases, and sometimes also counteracts 1 spell. So the Fairy Fire, it's not necessarily a good item, but what it allows you to do is it allows you to spend 75 gold to kill your opponent first, or to kill your opponent instead of dying. And in that, the Fairy Fire gets paid off, right? Because you're wasting 75 gold, but you're going to get like 250, and then you technically only make like, what, 175? That's not bad, considering that you're getting an advantage in the lane. So Viper can be very strong in that way. And buying Fairy Fires for mid heroes is definitely a very good thing to do. I saw some really sick Fairy Fire plays last night. Most mid players will grab a regen or a stat item like Wraithband or Null Talisman, and then they'll get 2 Fairy Fires. Their allies will pull them 2 Tangos, and with their bounty rune they'll buy a salve and ferry that onto them. So they'll have 2 Tangos, 2 Fairy Fires, and a salve. And keep in mind, the Fairy Fire is basically like a Tango. It does fill some of your regen needs, so it can be very nice to have. I am laning against a Shadow Fiend this game. And Shadow Fiend versus Viper is a bit of a weird matchup. It can kind of go both ways, in my opinion. I like playing the Viper because personally I'm not a good Shadow Fiend player, so Viper versus SF I think works better for me. And the way I played it, I tried something new and I felt like it works pretty good. It's too bad I left the lane here. I could have actually helped in that fight, and I was way too far by the time we got there. But usually when you're playing against Shadow Fiend, you have 2 options. You either get Poison Attack and you trade hits with him because it's going to be lowering his damage, or you go Nether Toxin level 1 because it gives you a lasting advantage. So I went for a Nether Toxin here due to the way that my creep wave is. If, for example, if my creep wave is more towards my tower and I could easily harass the Shadow Fiend, then I would get Poison Attack, because it does do 20 magic damage every time I hit him with it, and it slows his attack speed by a bit. Also, my damage is much higher than a Shadow Fiend's at the early game. He's only got 42 damage here versus my 51 plus 5. So Nether Toxin trading really helps out a lot. But the important thing when you're playing against SF is making sure that you get more last hits than him in the very beginning of the first couple waves. Because if he gets more base damage than you, then he's going to trade better than you, and he's going to last hit better than you. And then you're in a really bad place as a Viper. So Nether Toxin first against a Shadow Fiend I think is pretty required. If it's a melee, you get Poison Attack. If it's somebody else that's going to sit really far back in last hit, then Nether Toxin is probably the way to go. So if the creep wave is either up here, or the Shadow Fiend was playing too aggressive or something, that I would have gotten Poison Attack. I've gotten Poison Attack here because now I can stand on my high ground and harass him. If I have an Observer Ward, I also would have considered harassing him a bit more. Again, Nether Toxin helping me out quite a bit. I don't think it helps for denies, but it does help me for creeps. Just throwing extra attacks on him whenever I can. Keep in mind that it's okay to throw those extra attacks. This is giving me a max of 40 bonus damage. So if he's missing, we'll say half of his life, it's giving me 20 damage. It's giving me some pretty good damage in the early game. Now with my level 3 skill here, most Vipers will grab Corrosive Skin. But against a Shadow Fiend, I kind of feel like a second Poison Attack worked really well. And after playing this game, I really am an advocate of this build against Shadow Fiend. I'm also kind of zoning him. It's important that my hero's in the position that I am. This will kill him here, but he Fairy Fired. Very smart of him. And then I was going to sell, but unfortunately the Purge came to gank me at the same time. This is really unfortunate. I used my Fairy Fire, but I'm not going to be able to get away from that. So really nice gank by Purge there. He didn't get very much gold for it for some reason. I'm not quite sure why he only got 139, but I would have killed that SF if it wasn't for Fairy Fire, because at that low range the Nether Toxin would have kicked in. I also bought another Fairy Fire because I said, you know what, this match is pretty close in the mid lane. I think it's better to have a little bit of burst heal. Definitely grab Corrosive Skin at level 4 here. I don't think it's worth it to go 2-2 unless you're in a really one-sided matchup. If you're in a one-sided matchup, it's great to have the bonus damage. And for now, honestly, I'm still last hitting quite well. If we compare my last hits to the Shadow Fiends, they're definitely higher. SF's pretty low here. He's got to be careful. Again, I'm just kind of running him down. I did go boots first, so Fairy Fire is going to keep me alive. I 100% would have died if it wasn't for Fairy Fire. So I was really glad that I picked that up. And this is one advantage that Viper can do, actually. You can basically go for boots first instead of a bottle, because Viper doesn't really need bottle very much. I'm being careful about getting hooked here. Really didn't want to get hooked. I think I could have killed him in a 1v1, but I didn't want to chance it. So yeah, I really like the skill build versus the Viper. I think a lot of Viper players, they underestimate how valuable that second point is because it does increase the movement speed slow. And because I had boots advantage over the Shadow Fiend, and I had 2 levels in poison attack, I was able to chase. If it wasn't for the 2 levels in poison attack, I wouldn't have gotten those kills, because you don't get anything out of Corrosive if he doesn't attack you or cast spells on you. Alright, now that I'm level 5, this is usually the point where you shy away from poison attack slightly. I could maybe justify getting a 3rd one, and I don't think it would have been a bad idea, because 3 poison attacks, 30% slow is massive, right? It's reducing his attack speed, it's reducing his movement speed. With 30% slow, he's not going anywhere, especially if he doesn't have boots. And at this stage in the game, he actually does. He does have his boots here, but 30% attack speed slow can really punish your enemies. You can see some argument there, but I don't know if I was thinking about this at the time, but if he has boots and I have boots, I think I would go for more Nether Toxin, just for more last hitting power and more harassment. If he's low, it's going to do more damage. So Nether Toxin in some ways is better, and I actually really like that skill. I think it's pretty darn good. Most Vipers will go something like a 1-1-4 skill build on Viper, but I'm not the biggest fan of this. I prefer going a little bit more in terms of damage, and I think that build is slightly better. But it kind of depends. If you're playing like the carry role and you're behind, then Corrosive is almost always the correct ability to go for. Just doing my best to try to deny him getting last hits here. He was able to raise for that catapult as well. And once I get 6, I'm going to be quite a bit stronger as well. Looks like I was picking up Power Treads first. I think this is a bit of a mistake, actually. I think you should go Aquila earlier. Aquila and a Headdress, I think, is the better early game. It's kind of hard to say. Should use the Tango here. That was so confusing to me. I really felt like he should have killed me there. I feel like that was my Skype bias, guys. Sorry about that. I really feel like he messed that up. He should have gotten the kill on me there. He should have double raised earlier, and then it looked like I fogged him on the high ground, so he couldn't actually right-click me when he wanted to. That's kind of what it looked like happened. But I think he should have won that fight, personally. I should have used my Tango before I went on him there, and if I would have, I would have had a higher chance of living. He did double raise me. The one mistake you basically just can't make versus a Shadow Fiend is you can't get in melee. You can't run through all 3 raises of him. If he triple raises you, he kills you no matter what. So you kind of want to keep him from moving, keep him in one place. And when he's staying in one place, you're going to use that to your advantage by letting him double raise you, but you're attacking a lot during the whole time. I think if I didn't have 2 in Nether Toxin there, I wouldn't have lived, because I needed to kill him about when I did. If he would have gotten like 1 more right click off, I think I just would have died. But he should have been a lot more fast with his the way that he tried to kill me. He needed to double raise and then attack me until I died, or force me to back. And he didn't do that. Looks like Pudge is kind of looking for me, but I've got my Power Treads now. Again, I think my early item build here was wrong. I think I should have gone Headdress with Aquila. You need the Headdress just to get your regen up. Because right now, for example, I don't have any regen now. And if he races me like that, I'm actually in a dangerous place. I'm at 600 HP, I'm missing a lot of my survivability. Having my treads doesn't actually do that much. So the Headdress Aquila build is the way. It gives you mana regen, it gives you really good armor, that way you can fight people in 1v1s in the mid lane. And then the headdress will give you regen up. And it's just generally good stats. Headdress gives you 2 to all stats. A little bit of a misclick there. I clicked the ground and it unfortunately did not go for the correct last hit, but I'm just playing it really careful here. Put my Viper Strike here on this Alchemist. He is going to end up dying in there due to my poison damage, so it wasn't the worst. I think I bought out before I died as well, so actually it didn't cost me very much. SF ends up staying alive. So kind of a weird place to get ganked, but it's like Dark Falco died over there. Back to the mid lane I go. You can maybe justify me getting more corrosive skins. That may have been something that I could do there. But I don't know if it would have kept me alive until Alchemist died or not. It's kind of hard to say. Most of the damage I did to him seemed to be magic. But as a whole, I think my game was going pretty well. So that's going to finish my Ring of Protection, or my Ring of Basilius, which will make an Aquila. Gives me an extra armor and 6 extra damage. Another really good thing about Aquila is the damage it gives you is really high in the early game. So 6 damage, 1 armor for a Sage's Mask, not to mention the regen, it's pretty good. And I'm just going to push really hard right now. If nobody's in the lane, I'm going to auto attack. Especially with Klink's getting a kill on the Shadow Fiend like that. He went to go, it was a mid, so it was obvious he was jungling. These items look very strong. I like these a lot. Treads, Magic Stick, Headdress. It's a little bit of everything you need. And I'll grab the Bounty Rune while the creeps aren't there. Buckler's next. He'll give me 2 to all stats. It's a little dangerous for me to approach through the river like that. I could have gotten hooked. Pudge is doing very good in the early game. He put a lot of pressure on the map. Pudge did have Tranquil Boots, so if I don't attack him too much, I see the TP coming. I think I saw it coming, or I heard it. I can't remember, but... if there's 2 heroes, things get kind of scary. Don't really have anything to do right now because the camps behind me are being farmed by Luna. Looks like Pudge got an invis. In vision. We definitely didn't see that. I should have been looking at the runes more often. That invis sat there for over a minute and nobody grabbed it. Pudge is just absolutely owning that early game. He played really well. Power Shadow Fiend.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Trying to ulti him, and unfortunately I missed here with my attack. I probably should have... we probably should have waited for that gank until I was able to get a poison attack off on the Shadow Fiend, otherwise it's just hard to get the kill. But I think we really should have had that kill. I think I made it a little bit too obvious that I went after him. I went for the ult first because I knew if I ultied then he definitely dies because the slow applies. But I maybe should have just gone for attack right away, or I should have done it more inconspicuously. As soon as I slow him, he's dead. No matter what, so could have done that a lot better. Now, while he has left the lane now, I'm basically just hardcore pushing the lane. Use Buckler on the creeps to give them 2 armor. Right-click the creeps in the tower as fast as possible. And this is a really good thing about Nether Toxin, actually, is that you can actually push quite fast. Treads as well, really helping for this.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower
It's almost as good as the Vlad's actually, giving 4 armor.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
I was really hoping I didn't get hooked there. Viper's actually a very slow hero, another reason Sange and Yasha is quite good. Makes a big difference. And there's the mech coming. So once you finish mech, you can play a lot more dangerous due to the turn potential that you get out of the item.
You will have our thanks.
Again, pretty straightforward. Sit in my lane, get last hits. This is not terrible for me. You kind of have to weave in and out when you're playing Viper like this. And I'm just going to stay around for the experience. I slightly messed up with my tread switching, I think, on the mech. I don't believe that I mech'd on in treads, so I could have gotten a bit more HP, but it's pretty clear. Like, it takes a lot of damage to kill Viper. If I have 1200 HP, and I've got 20% magic resistance, and I've got a mech, and I've got like a 15 charge wand, how do they kill me? It's like I am a 2k HP hero, basically. At this stage in the game, that is way too much damage for them to be able to deal with. And that's the value of Viper, that fight there. They threw 3 heroes ganking me, and they just couldn't kill me. Now, they didn't have the best ganking heroes. It was a Tusk who probably, or I'm sorry, a Jakiro, his name is Tusk. A Jakiro who probably doesn't have that many damage points. Level 7 Jakiro is more utility than he is damage. I did not have my mech, unfortunately. Here's that Viper advantage you can see. Doing more and more damage. I did not see the Purge coming from behind. I was getting ready to mech, but I just should have done it. And the SF also showed up in the lane. So a bit of a mistake for me there. I should have just mech'd right away, but I don't think it was going to keep me alive. But I felt very strong right there due to the previous fight where I stayed alive. I got the out kill, and I felt like I could have gotten the Earthshaker, but the Pudge was already there, so that's when things get dangerous. Just not too surprising, I guess, because there was already a fight previous to it.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
We're a little unsure if we're going to be able to defend this tower, but I felt like we could, so I was getting ready to TP to it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Fortunately, I got hooked by a Pudge, and I got blown up real bad. This was actually a really big loss. It was obviously at a ward on the cliff. I probably should have thought about that ward and TP'd left or TP'd to the tier 3 tower. Either of those would have been smarter due to there being a Pudge, but I didn't foresee that. So, because that I die, if I didn't get hooked, I think we could have defended it. As long as I didn't get hooked super out of position, then I would have been alright. But once I get that ward up, it's very scary with a Pudge. Not the most planned team fight, clearly. They do kill Shadow Fiend at least, and they also have Eclipse, but... Yep, and I'm not proud of what I'm about to do, but I was like, fuck this, I'm still strong. I'm gonna get a kill.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is fallen.
When I approached that kill, I didn't think that the Pudge had mana. It looks like he used a wand there at the end. If he didn't have a wand, or if he didn't have mana, he would have ultied me and I would have been fine. But I thought Pudge had no mana, so I was like, oh, I can do this. But Dismember is not that expensive, it's only about 100, so I threw my life away. And even if I did get the Earthshaker, there's a low chance that I would have been able to get out. So that was just like a tilt play. That was really bad. I've lost a lot of my early advantage. If you look at the net worths, I'm still top on my team and I'm doing pretty well, but I'm not invulnerable as I thought in that last fight. So, 2 deaths. It used to be 4 and 2 after I killed the Elk, and now I'm 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I could be 5 and 2 right now, or 4 and 2 right now. instead of 4 and 5. If I just backed after killing the Alchemist, played it safe, and if I didn't TP badly, and if I didn't throw my life away there. Like, it's such a big difference, though. If I'm that KDA, the game is in a much safer place, basically. So you have to play, when you're playing cores, you have to play a lot safer than this. There is some times where you do have to be aggressive, but I've clearly shown when it was too aggressive. You can actually kill neutral camps pretty fast, just with auto attacking. The Shadow Fiend's going S and Y mech. Very similar build to what Viper does. His is a little bit more diverse afterwards. You can do a lot of different items on Shadow Fiend. Viper is a little bit more straightforward. Your items are either S and Y, BKB, Aghs, maybe something else. I think they said we should fight. I don't think we dewarded their wards, so it's bad of me to TP there because their ward saw me TP. But if we can start their fight. You can see on the map that he placed a ward. And they'll see me rotating here. It's a really nice cask. Use my mech there on the clinks. With the Aghs showing up, we decided to back. It's basically really dangerous. Also bought a piece of my BKB item. If we can get 2 people out, this would be amazing. I was quite surprised they didn't chase us. Again, I used my ult against SF. He did have a DD, but you can fight that as a Viper. It's scary. It's definitely very scary, but you can fight it. So we go back to farming now. I actually like this skill build a lot. I think this one's very good. Gives me a lot of damage. Kind of stealing Specs farm, I guess. But that's okay. He was asking for a... He was asking for a Spec ult that whole time. So with Pudge dead like that, we can probably go push top. We do have to worry a little bit about them TPing, but... Again, the Clinks was Biryu. The Luna was Dark Falco. The other 2 guys I didn't know, the Spectre and the Witch Doctor, were friends. I think they were like 4.6 and 4.3k, I believe. Aghs is up on the Luna. Again, we're still walking through the wards, so we can see them moving over to us. This basically means we're going to have to fight.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Telling you to throw it.
Radiant's
Luckily
middle
for us,
tower is under
we did not
attack.
get caught there. Brought a smoke out so that we could fight.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Wanted to attack from the back here. So the Luna Aghs, you can actually cast her from very, very far away. To the point that it's very OP, and it's pretty OP in my opinion. We had to smoke there to get behind because they had that ward up. So I thought we could get some advantage by coming from an angle that they were going to assume they're safe. I just like drawing on the map which angle I want to attack from. I think that's nice to do. Spec has phase and a drum. This is kind of scary, but...
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
There's the Luna Aghs. So, I did die there. The fight was pretty good. We got SF Aegis, and we killed 2 others. So we basically traded our 3 heroes for their 3 heroes, but one of them was not traded due to it being an Aghs. This is ultimately okay for us, I think. It was a pretty good fight. The Luna Aghs did pretty good damage. If we had detection, maybe we could have killed the Alchemist instead, but
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
it was not terrible. We have Glyph as well. That's going to buy us 4 heroes alive. We're not going to have the Luna Aghs, but we can maybe defend this.
Oh, look at it go!
It's very clear I need a BKB though, because they just have a bit too much magic damage and they keep chain stunning me. I really don't want to have to buy back here. I'm usually a little too greedy about buyback, I feel. But luckily for us, we're all pretty much alive. We lose the tier 3 tower, but I think considering how that fight went, it's not terrible. We actually lost 2 towers out of that, so they probably got a big gold advantage. But as a whole, I felt okay with it.
By just the Lord. It's up!
Pushing out this lane's pretty scary. We don't have wards, but as long as Spectre's here as well, it's not terrible. I'm okay letting him take some of those last hits, I think. So I decided to jungle instead of him. I think I can jungle much faster. Plus I can take the nukes. I don't feel comfortable farming those 2 camps because it's towards where they were just farming. So very likely that they'll be farming those camps as they shift through the jungle. So a lot of heroes bottom. This means we have to go back. If they weren't pushing there though, that means that we could go try to get a kill on somebody top. But we have to come back for this.
Yes.
Getting hooked would mean we lose Aghs, so really can't get hooked. Yeah, this is, I was basically like, holy shit, that thing works. Trying to get the follow-up. They're going to be able to get Purge, so I want to get more if possible.
Boy, fresh meat.
Fortunately, my hero's just too slow. They have S and Y, so I can't catch up. If I had S and Y in that fight, we might have been able to get more, but that was basically Dark Falco just killing 2 heroes with his ultimate. As you can see, Luna Aghs, pretty good. If it focuses on just one hero, it's very, very good. The Alchemist didn't even turn on his ult, he didn't even like Shadow Blade, he just kind of died. I don't know if he was watching his hero or what, but that was pretty bad from the Alch. If he just Shadow Bladed, actually, they could have won that fight completely. Maybe he didn't have it though, I don't know. If you press any button, he might have lived. Literally any button. Don't want to steal anybody's farm, so I'm just gonna stroll through here. Poison attack now maxed out, 40% slow. Very good against Alchemist, very good against SF. For the other heroes, it's just some damage. Hopefully I stack this camp. I don't remember stacking it. I think I neglected the fact that it was a stack time, so a little inefficient there. Almost killed in time. But I definitely should have stacked that. Always go for efficiency. I could have stacked it, killed maybe one of the creeps, and then come back over here to get this wave. This push shot wave. So at this point I was considering going back for Aghs, basically. I said, well, we just want to team fight pretty well. Seems like we're doing a little bit of like poking, sieging in fights, and if you do that, Aghs is great. Increases your cast range, lowers the cooldown. It's very good offensively, but the problem with it is it doesn't help you scale very well. And then I basically just said, you know what, Aghs is way too greedy, I just need a BKB, because if I get hooked, I need to go magic immune. If with Luna Aghs seems like we have good damage, I just need to be able to... I was pinging that I needed last hits here, but Dark Falco took a bunch, unfortunately, and I'm about 40 gold away from BKB, at which point we're going to fight. BKB is just better than Aghs this game. If they didn't have very many stuns, I would definitely just go for Aghs. Okay, he actually didn't let me get last hits. He was trying to fight me. But anyways, I've got the BKB now. Can fight much better. Don't have to worry about Purge ult, Ice Path, Fissures. Can just do exactly what I need to do. Gonna go group and let Spectre stay in his lane, because obviously he can haunt and teleport. Always run to the left side here, because if you're expecting a ward to be on that high ground. So the ward doesn't quite go all the way to the left. Saw an alchemist there. Dark Falco just kind of ultied that one. And it worked. So since we're still a little smoked, we can go look for some other kills in the jungle. Pretty easy kill. They were asking for a haunt during that fight, but the Spectre didn't want to haunt. Because they thought, I don't know, either Spectre wasn't paying attention. They thought that there would actually be other heroes there, but there were not. Now we have a Dessa on the Clinks, he's doing pretty good damage. Do they have a ward? I don't know. Let's see if they had a ward. They actually did not have a ward. They didn't even know that he was there. Maybe, you know, maybe they saw him TPing before the tower died. That's what happened. Definitely a possibility. Again, jungling's really not that slow in Viper. It's a fast jungler. Now I'm queuing up my S and Y. So I felt at this point mobility and damage is more important, because I'm going to have to compete with a Shadow Fiend basically. Clink's very good against Pudge. Pudge's armor is very low. You can catch him like that, and if you have a creep used, you will not die. Level 3 ult's pretty good. 80% slow, basically stops somebody in their tracks. With Pudge dead, we felt pretty comfortable going for Roche. This is kind of dangerous due to Echo Slam. We can do it pretty fast with Viper. Pretty happy with Aegis. Viper is a very, very good Aegis carrier, because you basically can put yourself in a bad situation, respawn, and then BKB. Best way to do it. We knew that was the real SF because he taunted. Definitely not an illusion. There's quite a few creeps in the area. Oh, he put on the Clinks, I see. So one of the cool things you can do, you can cast it on a hero. Nice fissure here. Unfortunately, the Earthshaker tanked all of the ultis there. That was a refresher, by the way. Isn't it crazy what that range is? That range is actually... It's actually fucking insane. the range of that. I don't necessarily agree with Refresher on Luna, but it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. At the very least, an Aghs pickup on Luna seems not bad. Really not bad at all. Really increases the viability of Eclipse when you can cast it at that kind of a range and the beams shoot out that fast. You can get more damage out in a short period of time before somebody BKBs, for example. You can actually kill stacks so fast on Viper at this stage. Max Nether Toxin makes such a big difference. Just gonna aggro these creeps here so they attack me, so that they all get corrosive. Kind of looks like they might come top. It's really nice to have wards on their jungle.
Regeneration.
If I just got the slow on him, he would have died, I think. Sometimes getting something like a blink at this stage is really good on Viper, just because it allows you to start the fight. You don't necessarily need the blink to initiate, it's just, you need to get that first slow on somebody. You need to land the ult and the poison attacks. At that point, they're not getting away. That first catch is very important. And Viper's so slow, he's 330 with boots here. So, mobility is really a bit of an issue on Viper. Kind of forces either your opponents to go on you first, or one of your allies to go first. Now, the item I just decided to build this game was a Skadi. And you might be a little confused because it doesn't stack with poison attack, but poison attack lasts for 2 seconds. So that means when you're not poison attacking, if you don't want to reapply the poison attack, you can hit him with a Skadi. So. And to be honest, the Skadi item fits really nice with Viper. Nice hook here from Purge. That's what Aegis is for.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I did catch him there, but the ice path stopped things.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Happy to fight in the macro pyre, and this is basically what happens when you fight an SF. Just can't get away. His damage was BKB S and Y. Basically, same thing as me, except he had a full S and Y advantage over me, and I can still beat him in a 1v1 due to him relying more on his magic damage than me. And he also didn't have BKB from earlier, so if he had BKB, he could have walked away, but he was not able to. So as you can see, even just with like a mech and a Black King bar, Viper is actually quite strong. My levels are quite high though, so that's part of it. But
Dire's top barracks has fallen.
so got a true Aghs set of it. Now we back. So yeah, I actually think Skadi is quite good on Viper. The slow obviously will stack, but it doesn't. You can't cast them at the same time. You have to throw the snowball first, and then you poison attack. The item itself is really good on Viper. It's basically any hero that gets decent benefit from S and Y. In a lot of cases, Skadi is also good on them. And for Viper, that's one of the cases as well. It's just good on him. Like, it gives him 750 HP. It gives him like 5 armor. It gives me a ton of mana, more mana than I probably need, in all fairness. And it gives me strength, aka HP. So the HP is really good. The agility it gives me is fine. The armor it gives me is good. It's all about staying alive and slowing my opponents. What a lot of players do in the pro scene, and maybe in pubs as well, they almost always rely on hearts when they want HP. And in most cases, I honestly feel like hearts are over-purchased a little bit. The only reason hearts are better than Skadi is if you're a strength hero, like a bristleback, or if you need to be able to disengage from the fight and regen to full HP. And that's usually why most people buy Hearts of Tresk. But in a lot of cases, Skadi is just a better item. In almost all cases, in my opinion, Skadi is just a better item due to the fact that it does give you stats and it gives you damage instead of just HP. So if you're playing a hero like Phantom Assassin, for example, or Phantom Lancer, yeah, it's great to have a lot of HP and have a heart to get disengaged, but Skadi will make your illusions hit harder. It'll give you more mana pool. It'll actually keep you more survivable against physical damage than a heart will. Spectre is kind of a similar case, but Spectre should probably buy the heart just because she oftentimes does get into a bad situation, and going from 30% HP on a carry to 100% within like 10 seconds is amazing. Spectre's almost always the heart is the right choice. Plus it just looks cool to shoot snowballs, am I right guys?
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
I should have mech'd the Viper or the Witch Doctor. As you can see, I can slow through BKB now. Obviously they did kind of give up here, so the fight is over, but the Skadi definitely would have given me some nice advantage. Yeah, that shit's crazy, man. That shit's actually crazy. Refresher, Aghs, Luna. So we end the game on top. We ended up winning. We basically won the game because of the bot Rax fight. We delayed them enough. The tier 2 fight actually. We burned the Aegis, so we didn't have to do the Aegis burn at our Rax. That was actually pretty big of us and important. And then they couldn't finish our Rax off, and then that fight afterwards we were able to chase a couple down. So that was pretty big. My laning stage went fairly well. I should have lasted a little bit better. I shouldn't have died to the dive on SF. I should have checked his items and saw that he had a Fairy Fire and he wasn't going to be killed. I should have backed off before the last hit and he would have had to salve or be really penalized in the lane. And then Purge wouldn't have gotten my advantage. So that was another big mistake that I made. And I shouldn't have died those 3 times at top where I got hooked. That was a really greedy TP. They were going to hook. And I shouldn't have fed when I ran in to kill the Earthshaker by myself with 3 heroes. That was just really dumb. So I should have had a much better KDA, but I played fairly good, and that's Viper. I hope you guys learned a lot. Go be the next cancer in your pubs, I guess. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.